Welcome time travelers and welcome new time travelers. As always, if you're new to this channel and enjoy learning about history, one event at a time, then don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today we are starting out in 1646 when architect Julius Hardouin Mansart, who redesigned and expanded the Palace of Versailles, was born in Paris. 100 years later, in 1746, when English army defeated a Scottish force under Charles Edward Stuart, Bonnie Prince Charles, at the Battle of Culloden, ending the Jacobite effort to restore the Stuarts to English throne. 1755 is when painter Elizabeth Vagui Lebrun, known for her portraits of Queen Mary Antoinette, was born in Paris. 1836 is when French forces occupied Veracruz, Mexico during the Pastry War. The conflict began after a French pastry cook living near Mexico City claimed that Mexican army officers had damaged his restaurant. 1908 is when Natural Bridges National Monument was formally established in southeastern Utah. Moving on to 1917, when Vladimir Lenin ended his 17-year exile and returned to Russia to form a provisional government. We are going to make a stop in 1922, when British author Kingsley Amis, who created his first novel, Lucky Jim, that was published in 1954, a cosmic figure that became a household word in the British and Great Britain in the 1950s, was born. 1937 brought us the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Boston declared unconstitutional the unemployment and the old age assistance provisions of Social Security Act. The next stop will be in 1943 when Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann discovered the psychedelic properties of LSD, a drug he had first synthesized in 1938. Synthesized in 1938. 1945 is when sinking of Lützow, a German pocket battleship in Swinesmade Harbor, by RAF 6-ton bombs are claimed by the British Air Ministry. On this date in 1947, American basketball player Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who won 5 NBA championships with the Los Angeles Lakers in 1980, 1982, 1985, 1987, and 1988, was born. The following year, in 1948, in order to restore the economy of Europe after World War II, 16 European countries formed the Organization for European Economic Cooperation, later the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, 1962 brought us American journalist Walter Cronkite became anchor of the CBS Evening News, a position he held for nearly 2 decades, during which time he became known as the most trusted man in America. Uh, 1995 is when, acting on behalf of Spain, the European Union sheltered a bitter fishing dispute with Canada. The 6-week-long confrontation over fishing rights in international waters off of Newfoundland had reached such intensity that both Spain and Canada had sent gunboats into the area. Canadian authorities claiming the fish stocks of turbot were dwindling because of overfishing had taken matters into their own hands on March 9th by seizing a Spanish trawler at gunpoint. Canadians also cut the fish nets of other Spanish trawlers, containing that it was exceeding international fishing quotas and hauling in too many small fish. The dispute was settled when both sides agreed to observe in the future the quotas assigned to each country by the Northwest Atlantic Fisheries Organization. 2003 is when, at the age of 40, Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the best player in history of basketball, played his last game in the National Basketball Association. On this day in 2007, in one of the deadliest mass shootings in the United States, 33 people, including the shooter, were killed in Blacksburg, Virginia, campus of Virginia Tech. I actually do remember hearing about this, which is actually why a lot of schools nowadays do mass shooting drills in case something like this would happen. But the whole reason why they started that was actually had to do with Sally Hook. Another event in 2007 is when Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr orders the 6 ministers in the Iraq government who are members of his political bloc to withdraw from the government. 2009 brought us the International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors to depart North Korea. And finally, 2014 is when South Korea ferry Swal, traveling from Incheon to Jeju, capsized and sank, killing 304 people, most of whom were high schoolers. And with that, we return to 2024 and our current history. Until next time.